Hello everyone and welcome to Chess Plays. Today we will examine a game between a 10-year-old Magnus Carlsen and an experienced player at that time, Guenter Kaiser, who at that time, if I remember correctly, had an ELO rating which was around 1900, maybe even more. The game took place at Bayerische Meisterschaft at 2000 tournament, and currently Guenter's rating is 1899. And people regarded this game and called it as Kaiser Rolled, which I will show you in the game why is it called like that. So let's start. And also, yes, did I tell you that Magnus Carlsen was only 10 years old? Really amazing game by a 10-year-old boy. So white plays d4, a queen's pawn game. A queen's pawn game, it is the second most popular opening move after 1 e4, and queen pawn openings are generally closed or semi-closed games. So that means they are characterized by fewer open lines, and in those games knight should work better, much better than bishops. And that have more positional play, where players try to slowly gain positional advantage over each other. So this square on this pawn on d4 controls this central square on e5, and later white would like to play e4 and develop his knights and so on. White has two main answers to this game, and also black has two main answers to this game. But let me tell you that also this pawn to d4 allows this bishop to move freely, dark square white bishop from c1 to h3 to h6, and also allows the queen to these two spaces and later this space if bishop moves out. So we have Magnus Carlsen playing knight f6, which can easily roll into Queen's Indian defense, or let's say this is called a hyper modern strategy, control and attack the center from the sides. Also you can play d5 in order to counter this d4 move and also gain control over the center. But Magnus decides to play knight f6. Kaiser white replies with knight f3, d6, freeing this diagonal for his bishop, c3, g6. Magnus prepares to fianchetto his bishop and castle on the king's side. And we have the e4 move, a really strong move, because this duo here is one of the golden moves in chess, because they control these four central squares, and this is regarded as a strong position. And now Magnus plays g7, prepares to castle. White plays bishop to e2, also prepares to castle, and now the bold player's castle. And the position that we have here is Pirc defense, classical variation. Black could be looking now to maybe free this diagonal for his bishop by playing pawn to c5. And let me get these lines off. And if white takes, black takes again, and the black could develop his pieces fast and even gain temporary outpost for his knight. Let me show you. So c5, white takes, black takes, rook to e1, trying to add one more protector to this pawn and giving ability for this bishop to move. Black develops to knight c6, g5, bishop, b6, attacking this pawn here on b2, queen defense, bishop to e6, a4, allowing his knight to jump here, and knight to d4. This is the outpost I was talking about. So yeah, both players have equal chances here, but Magnus played here e5. and white replies with e3, adding protector, one more protector to this pawn here. And maybe the better move here was to take the e pawn. Let me show you. Maybe this would be the better move, because after the exchange takes place, queens would go off the board, and now this bishop here would pin this knight to this rook, and rook has to go back to protect this pawn here from this knight, and so on. Black would have to defend this pawn here, so maybe that would be the better move, but okay. And now Magnus plays h6. How does white reply? Queen to d2. Black aligns the queen with his bishop here, trying to maybe force the 10-year-old boy to take the silly exchange here, which Magnus, of course, didn't want to do. So Magnus decides to protect this pawn here on h6, because let's say if Magnus played something else, so black now can't take, because okay, let's say black takes up, he loses the bishop here, or in a less worse scenario, white is pawn ahead now. So Magnus didn't want to allow this. He played knight to g4, protecting this pawn, and at the same time attacking this bishop. Really nice move. And now d5. Kaiser decides to avoid clearing this center here, and plays pawn to d5. So maybe his thought was to make this bishop useless, because white can't play here, he can't play here, this knight is blocking its way, so it's pretty useless here. So Magnus decides to play f5, attempts to weaken this white's pawn structure in the middle, and open maybe even open this, and then give this bishop here more room to breathe. And let's see what black replies to this. So black takes. G takes f5. Now Kaiser attacks this knight. Magnus decides to take this bishop here, because he was really strong, aligned with Kaiser's queen. Queen takes knight, and now e4. This move is particularly good because it attacks the knight here, but at the same time it opens this diagonal for a dark squared bishop, and allows him to control this h8 a1 diagonal. Really nice move by Magnus Carlsen, and really don't forget that he's 10-year-old here and thinking about all these positional plays, strategies, developing his pieces. I mean, this is really magnificent, and it's really nice to review this game. So black runs with his knight, of course. Now Magnus plays knight to e7, decides to move his queen to e7, adds protection on the e4 pawn here, and moves one more piece out of the black rank so that he can connect his rooks later. And now white decides to play rook from a to g1, so that he could potentially add one more protector to this knight here in case bishop decides to take. And now Magnus starts to roll up his pieces. If you can see, now the roll up has started, and it will be really nice to watch it end. So c5, attacking this knight. d takes 6-6. Maybe the better move here would be for Kaiser to play knight to e6, and after the exchange takes place, now when he goes with this knight from c3 to b5, he's threatening here fork on queen and rook. And after black could attack the queen here, queen to b3. Now exchange is inevitable, and after let me play this through. So after the exchanges, white is up and a pawn in this position and has slight advantage, but this did not happen in the game. So this move didn't happen, but Kaiser decides to take this pawn on c5. Magnus takes. Now c4 check. Magnus goes with his king to h7. He goes back with his knight here. And now a really nice move by Carlsen. Pawn to d5. Attacking the knight here, attacking the bishop here. He has to move. Sorry. To b3, and continuing to roll up his pawns up the board, and it's really nice to watch this happen. So Kaiser replies with now Magnus plays again c5, attacks this knight here, and knight has to move, and notice how this bishop can now take this pawn here on b2, because knight will have to move. So he plays knight to b5, and white makes mistake here. White had better combination here, maybe to take a pawn on the f5, and I'm not so sure, but Stockfish regarded this position as this move as mistake, and this would have been a better combination. Sorry, this. So there are a few variations here. I don't want to bother you with them. These are just Stockfish plays, but Kaiser decides to go to the b5 square with his knight, and Carlsen continues to roll up his pawns up the board, attacking almost each piece in its ways, it seems. And now this pawn attacks queen and makes queen run from her place here. So queen to d2, bishop to b7, getting ready to control this diagonal, knight to f4, a6, attacking this knight here, d5, attacking the white adds some pressure on the queen right now. So white decides to play queen to e5, hoping it will take this. Carlsen hopes he will take this knight here with his bishop, and after bishop takes, queen takes, and Magnus is piece up ahead. Nice thinking there. But now Kaiser, very nice move by white, protecting this knight and at the same time attacking this rook here. So rook has to run to a7, now queen to a5. And Magnus decides to move his knight from the back rank and allow some more play for his rook on f8. And now mistake by Kaiser. He plays g3. Better move here would be f4, attacking the queen. And this is regarded as much better, not really much better, but as a slightly better position for white. Then, I mean, black is in better position, but it's better to be in this position for white than in the one that was previously here. This one, better for sure. Now, mistake by Kaiser. And Carlsen moves his rook to c8. Nice move, attacking the knight and adding more pressure to the white. And Kaiser retreats his knight to the b5 square. And notice how black can't capture this because he loses the rook here. And 10-year-old Magnus Carlsen can see this. So he moves his rook, and after Kaiser threatens to take again, because now Magnus still can't take like this, because and now he threatens to take this rook again. So Magnus accepts this. He takes his knight here, and after Kaiser takes his rook, Magnus takes his knight. So this was 2-for-1 exchange, and really nice strategical and positional thinking by 10-year-old Magnus Carlsen. I mean, these tactical plays are amazing for a 10-year-old boy, at least from my perspective. I'm not sure if you agree with me. So Kaiser plays bishop to a4, attacking this knight, defending. Magnus defends it, and now Kaiser decides to add a protector to this pawn here in case Magnus plays f4, but this was actually a mistake move. A better move was to play rook here to e1, maybe trying to make some breakthrough here and get black queens from making its plans. I mean, exchanging the queens or whatever. So he plays h2, and now Magnus plays f4 to weaken his pawn structure near the king side and lead an attack, continuing to roll up his pawns. Kaiser goes back, trying to add a protector to this pawn in case this happens, and Magnus plays knight to f6, and now a mistake move, bishop c6, because this bishop will be lost. I mean, he attacks the rook here. Okay, Magnus moves the rook to c8, b7, and now after bishop to a8, he's losing it for sure, because the better move here was to take this pawn here, but Kaiser didn't play it, so this was mistake move. And after the exchange of the bishops, white plays queen to e2, and one more mistake move by Kaiser. Better move here was rook. Sorry. Maybe the better move here was to move this. Sorry. Just a second. So here we are. So maybe better move here was to play I'm having problems with this, really. Rook to g1, because adding one more protector here, but really this position is regarded hopeless for white anyway. So after white plays queen to e2, Magnus takes, and white resigns. Why does white resign in this position? I will show you, because after white takes, this devastating knight move, forking these two rooks, is a really strong move, and white is losing a rook in any way. So yeah, and really white is hopeless here. So I hope you enjoyed my review of this game. A magnificent play by a 10-year-old Magnus Carlsen, and still unrated at that point. And it was obvious even then what a chess talent he is. And if you like this video, please subscribe, leave a comment, like, anything that you want. And I hope to see you some other time. See ya!